Chris Murphy. I am a co-owner. My wife and I actually run the fitness cage. She is at home with the baby, who's 3 weeks old as of tomorrow and is still a handful. So forgive my appearance. I'm a little tired as well. I'm going on like 3 hours sleep tonight. So a little bit about my history. I have an undergraduate in management from Rensselaer Polytechnic. I got my master's here at UTC when I came down to Chattanooga in 2007. I was trying to find a job and missed the bubble, and it was really no other choice for me to get a master's or sit around and look at people, all trying to get a job. So, but it was a good experience. It got me connected with the community, connected with a lot of people in town that I wasn't otherwise connected with. From there, I worked at TVA for probably the better part of 5 years and discovered that large corporations aren't my passion, and working for them, it just isn't my passion. And if I can say anything at all of use, it's to go after what it is that you're passionate about. If you're just not happy doing the job you're doing, regardless of all the other factors in your life, be it the lifestyle, everything else, try to find something that fits with your personal goals and your personal beliefs, and you'll be much happier. Out of that, I left TVA and kind of went into my own, just was a stay-at-home father for probably the better part of a year and a half. I did small-scale paddleboard rentals on the side just to, kind of add cash whenever I wanted to go out to dinner or buy my daughter something pretty. That supplemented that. But this came out of a need. My wife and I, we've been doing CrossFit. I've been doing CrossFit now since probably 2009, back when Get Built was next door here, before they moved their much more snazzier digs a little bit further down on Main. Loved it, fell in love with it, just kept on doing it, even while at TVA. Part of my exodus reason for TVA, for leaving TVA, is that they had to cut my lunch hour short because I was spending too much time at my lunch hour at the gym, and it was like my perfect day. I'd go in for 4 hours, I'd work out for as much as I wanted, and I'd continue for another 4 hours. But they wanted more set schedule, so that didn't work out with me. But this came out of a need. My wife and I, we'd always be looking for equipment, looking for gear, looking for clothing, looking for things to help us, things that we wanted to use on a daily basis. When you use something on a day-to-day basis, you find out really quick if it works and if it doesn't work. A lot of the equipment, gear, accessories that go with working out and CrossFit in general are purchased online. There's really no other place to get them. You can go to the large box retailers in town, the Dick's, the Academy Sports, even Walmart has basics, basic versions of the equipment and the supplies we use. However, they just don't stand up to daily use. Jump ropes, for instance, don't stand up you buy from there, don't stand up to daily use. And as you get more proficient at it, they won't provide the same level of benefit as if you bought a specialized one online. Well, our problem came was the initial problem came was when it was time for us to buy jump ropes. And my wife went and bought this really nice $60 jump rope online, and I went and bought this much less expensive $20 jump rope and used what I've kind of pieced together with the same criterion from other ones and kind of made my own for probably about $25, $30. And my wife was a little bit mad that she spent over $60 on her jump rope, which she still loves and she still has, but then didn't have the chance to compare it to my design. And I said I could make something, and I did. So that kind of fostered the idea that, well, what if we had a place where we could actually go and compare apples to apples or apples to oranges? This one is one jump rope and jump rope B and jump rope C. Well, it would be really great to go somewhere, try out all these jump ropes that you would normally only be able to see online, read reviews about, and not really get any hands-on experience with it. And we thought to ourselves, well, that's a really great idea. We'd love to do that. We'd love to be able to supply a place that you could do that. And we just originally thinking jump ropes. Then we thought, well, what about shoes? What about weight belts? What about all the other stuff that we use on a day-to-day basis, including clothing? There are so many brands out there that support the CrossFit lifestyle. It's kind of amazing. When we were doing our first marketing research into how many CrossFit brands there are, that we've got at least 50 plus CrossFit specific or CrossFit focused brands out in the market today. And just to be able to compare them all in one setting was just kind of like an eye-opener for us. What does this $50 pair of shorts really have on this $35 pair of shorts? Is it worth the extra money, you know, to you as a consumer to just pay for the label? Or why don't you come in, try them both on, see that this $35 pair of shorts is just as good, just as comfortable, just as functional as the $50 one. Save yourself some money, still be happy with your purchase, or, you know, at least know that you're getting the right bang for your buck. So that's where this came out of. We started the idea probably a year ago now. Was when this idea came about. We took a long time in two areas to get the store up and running. The first being finances. Originally we were looking to try to get loans and small business loans and that kind of avenue to finance and fund a lot of our starting costs. That didn't really work out, which also goes back to my initial statements. If you find something you really feel passionate about, don't be afraid to take a risk on it. I ended up just pulling a lot of the money I made at TVA, which I'm very thankful for. I was able to save up a lot of money and used a lot of that to fund pretty much 100% of this is our own money. So I feel comfortable knowing that all of our, that we're working to grow our investment, if that makes any sense. I'm not working to grow somebody else's investment in myself. I have all my own skin in the game. We've done this all by ourselves. The second big thing that delayed our opening or extended the time frame of our opening was finding an actual commercial space. Walking into a space like this is, you know, this would have been, we would have fallen in love with this. We could have leased something like this for our, it's very industrial, it's very exactly the look we wanted, but cost for these kind of spaces is going up. This urban industrial look is very expensive, unfortunately, and we were kind of limited in the choices we could afford being a new business. So that was our other biggest challenge, actually finding commercial space. It's actually a lot more complex than I thought it would be. I thought you'd just go to, you know, an open space, say, I like this one, I don't like this one, here, I'll rent it, here's my deposit, there we go. Well, we turned out that wasn't the case. We had two signed leases that fell through, not through any fault of our own, but just through miscommunication and cost changes and last minute decisions on the owner or the renter that kind of negatively affected us, and we kind of got out as a result. The space we're in now is we got in very lucky. It was through word of mouth, friend of friend, who actually made us aware of these spaces on the North Shore, and it just worked out beautifully, for lack of a better word.
Where are you?
We are at 115 Fraser Avenue on the North Shore, right on either side of Into Shoes. I say on either side because we're actually moving as of the end of this month into 111 North Shore, which is a much larger space. That's going to give us this more industrial feel. We're going to have we have a little bit more work to do now, but I think the overall look of the store is what we're going to try to take. Is it was a little bit too boutique-y, which is fine, but for our market, I think we wanted a little bit more hard edges, concrete stone looking and appearing, not as chic as some of the other North Shore locations are, and this will afford us that luxury. Because the current space we have now is probably like 500 square feet, and you could fit it in the corner over there, which is nice and which was easy, and it worked great for the first 2 months of us being open. It flowed really well, but we wanted to get into other aspects of retail. We wanted to offer people home gyms, and like we were saying, there are certain things that you can only find out about a product until after you use it. So for a lot of the equipment that we're going to carry, we have things to aid in lifting, but we don't have any place for our customers to come in and actually put a bar on their shoulders, try to do a movement, and find out, wow, that doesn't feel comfortable. Let me try those other pair of pants. Let me try those other weight belt. Our goal is to offer options and choices, and if we can't demonstrate those options and choices under load, under real world situations, then what's the purpose of having all those options and choices? You're still making a uneducated guess, in my opinion. So this allows us that extra step that people will be able to come in, try the equipment, try the apparel on, and then try it under load as they would every single day in the gym. And they'll find out really quickly if shorts bind, if t-shirts don't don't fit right, if shoes don't fit right, gloves, whatever. So that's really the basis and the purpose of our store. Did you get? Where should I?
Yeah, no. just open up for questions. So what would you say would be the hardest thing you've encountered so far about the business?
Hands down, the two hardest things are what I mentioned, the financing. We tried many routes to go for financing, just because of our, what our other financial pictures are. It was very difficult to get that additional financing. And it came down to the fact that you just need to have that desire to do it and really risk most of, your own investment and that kind of stuff. And ultimately is what the banks are looking for in general. So I think in the next year or so, we might even expand further with our, at that point. But financing is one of the biggest things. And finding actual space. Again, I was under the impression it's just like a rental, housing rental. You go in, you like the space, you sign the lease, you give them the deposit, it's yours, end of thing. Well, apparently they can renegotiate after leases are signed. I've had that happen. They can raise prices after the leases are signed and kind of get out of it, or however. I was just told, this happens, and I was like astounded. Well, what do you mean they can raise the price? I signed the lease. It's the agreement. I thought this was binding. And they're like, well, yeah, but it says, down here somewhere in the lease that this is terminable and actionable, and all these things may be changed. So buyer beware. Definitely sign everything, or definitely read everything before you sign it. And then ask questions. If the first time we learned a valuable lesson through that. But yeah, finding the funds to do it and finding the space to do it was definitely the hardest two pieces of this.
How are you marketing the store?
Very word of mouth. We're focusing on currently all the local CrossFit gyms. There are, as of last count, there are about 20 in a 25-mile radius, which is insane, and they're actually growing. The more we talk to people, the more people come to tell us, and we've had several people come in and say, hey, I'm actually opening up a gym in Lafayette. I'm actually opening up a gym in this part and this part. Through friends and family, where my wife's from Winchester, there's other gyms opening up over there. I mean, it's amazing the level of growth that the CrossFit community has gone through. And if I had my laptop, I could show you part of the business plan has the CrossFit growth over the years, the games growth over the years, and it's just stunning. Double-digit growth, hundreds of % growth for the past several years. And obviously, we don't expect that growth rate to continue. However, the market is definitely saturated at this point with gyms and people willing to look and search out this specific style of exercise. And as a result, that would be a great time to supply them with the equipment that goes along with this specific style of exercise. But it's also applicable to any gym goer. So,
I guess in that direction, what do you see is the risk of CrossFit being like a fad?
I see a lot of risk in that it could be considered a fad, but I don't see fads with so many. There are a lot of, I don't want to say knockoffs, there are other different methodologies. There's so many different, iron tribes and local kettlebell classes at your large Globo gym style places. I don't feel it's going away anytime soon. However, I also think that a lot of our clothing and equipment is applicable to anybody, really. If you think about it, we market to folks practicing yoga, to Olympic weightlifting. As we get more and more equipment in, we can cater to more markets. And we're not trying to be jack of all trades. We're really trying to stay specific around that functional fitness, CrossFit mentality. So based on that, I think we can hit more than just one single market share, if that makes any sense. CrossFit's our focus, but there are so many other places. We participated in so many other events, charity fundraisers, and things of that nature. And we do pop-up shops, which is another thing I forgot to mention. We started doing pop-up shops with the company before we actually had the business open. Looking back, I think another thing I should have mentioned was hindsight being what it was. We should have done the pop-up shops for a lot longer. We would have built a lot more cash flow at that point instead of having to dip so much into savings and that kind of stuff. But the pop-up shops are basically showing up at an event, either be a charity, open house, WOD for whatever event, and there are many in the area or the surrounding region, and selling at those events, and we do phenomenally at those.
How did you build up your inventory for pop-up shops?
Well, we started with the name brands that we knew, and we kind of branched out slowly from there. One of my funniest stories is that one of the best name brands that we have, I don't want to say we don't have the best relationship with as a result, and as a result, in my kind of anger and desire to find some other options, went out and ordered competing apparel as a result, and now we have a full line in that specific section, and it actually, you know, it taught me, yes, that it's good to have a lot of diversity, but it also taught me to be careful. Don't just buy things because you're spiting other people.
Well, so that's a good question, though. I mean, in terms of how your business is working, are you buying retail? Or are you buying wholesale?
Well, we're buying wholesale. We buy in enough bulk that it is wholesale. All of our one of our things now that we've learned from the beginning is that wholesale markup percentage is very important to keep in mind, and also all the companies we choose to do business with are very conscious about their price points. We're not going to find a lot of our, not a lot, I wouldn't say all of them, but not a lot of them on Amazon where you can get them for pennies on the dollar kind of sales. So we don't have to compete with that. Everything that we sell in store is going to be the same price as you'd be getting it for online. We're, not taking into account any sales or specials that they might be having, but even then we run our own sales and specials too, so it's kind of like a fluctuating price point. But typically you can come into the store and know that anything you'll be buying there is the standard MSRP you'll be seeing for that online, and you can, unless it's a major sale or something, you're not really going to be getting it cheaper.
Are there similar stores in larger cities like Atlanta, DC, or?
Not that we were able to find.
Really?
Yeah. Here's my problem is I wanted to do this, and I would have done this in Atlanta. Going back and having anything my way, I would have done this in Atlanta, and I think not only would have done well, it would have done great. Whereas they're like 20 something in a 25-mile radius here, there are like 100 different CrossFit affiliates in a like 30 square mile radius. It is just like someone took a dartboard and just went crazy in Atlanta. There's so many different affiliates in Atlanta, so many different possibilities to partner with local gyms and businesses there. It would have been I believe would have been a walk in the park, provided we had a decent location and a decent setup. But I am tethered to Chattanooga. I don't want to move to Atlanta, and I want to uproot my family and everything. So we're going to start here, and our goal for about 5 years is to eventually have a second store and move into a larger market. I would love to see it be Atlanta. I would love to see it be in New York City or Southern California, something along those lines. The closest thing we have seen to a similar store are the online retailers like Wad Shop. They actually do maintain a warehouse shop. I can't remember where, but I know other companies maintain like a warehouse shop. GetRx has a massive warehouse shop in Houston that I'm looking forward to visiting when I go visit my friend in Houston. Where they display all their product and all their equipment and all their, everything in a really cool retail fashion. But nothing that really, no brick and mortar store that we have found that actually sells with such intent. So.
Did you or your wife have retail experience before?
My wife has lots of retail experience. I have business management and marketing experience. I came out of college and I was a graphic designer and marketing kind of dual major, and did that for a very long time in Southern California.
But this is more of a lifestyle business than really high growth, or you wanted to be in a position where you open for
Definitely not
these
high
things?
growth in my opinion. I feel that if we were, that's market dependent. I think if we were in a place like Atlanta, then I think we'd have a chance to take off, because I think there are just so many potential, I think my conservative estimate on potential market here was in several thousand people. I think in Atlanta it'd be 10 times that. There are just so many more people, so many more affiliates, so many more people actively looking for this clothing and this equipment, and having access to it in such an easy fashion where you can come in and try it and learn the differences. What am I paying more for? What am I getting with each one of these? I think would be a big hit. I think for here we're going to go for steady growth, and then, like I said, a a few years down the line. Our 5-year goal really is to have another store in a major marketplace, be it Atlanta, be it New York City, or Southern California. Probably our goal is Atlanta or New York City, honestly. So.
Are you considering a franchise model or?
No, I'm just trying to wait for the right opportunity. I think what happened with the location that we've had now, we found that if we had just been patient and waited, and the opportunity really just fell in our lap, and it so happened, I'm glad that the other ones had fallen through, because then we were able to act as quickly and decisively on this one as we were, and get the space pretty much ready to go. You know, we were able to move in there and literally just bring our boxes of equipment and gear and unrack it and hang it up. I mean, this thing came with displays and holdouts and all the other, you know, racks and everything else that we needed to do a retail location. It was really fortuitous like that. We got lucky.
Another question?
I know a lot of retailers struggle with, like, if they provide good service, people come in and do the research, and they go home and buy it online. Have you?
We are very conscious of that, and I think one of the best examples of that, or the best thing I can say about that, is we did a lot of research before we opened the store. One of the craziest things we did, we were interviewing a lot of other local retail establishments, sports stores, sporting goods shops, and we had one interview when we still love the store. It's right down the street from us, Fast Break. They don't sell online. They only do in-store sales, and they have been in business for something like 30 years. They have a dedicated customer following because their employees know the equipment, they know how to answer effectively all the questions that the customer may have, and they also know that most of the stuff they have there is price protected. Like I said, they were very smart about which brands they chose, which models they chose, which XYZ they chose, because they know that they're only going to lose if somebody absolutely had to. You're always going to find those people that absolutely have to pay the lowest price for something. They're going to go in, they're going to try it on, they're going to go and try to find it online, eBay. I mean, there's nothing you can do to stop somebody from just holding out, staking out eBay and Craigslist for as long as possible to find the exact shape, model, or similar of whatever it is they want. I mean, I'm a Craigslist hound myself, and I'll be very adamant about, going in, finding something that I want, and offering the absolute lowest price for it. And if I get it, great. But if not, then otherwise. But there'll always be people like that. I don't think they play too much into how we perceive the store doing. I think you'll have that in any market. Like I said, with certain markets, I think you'll see more of that than others. But if you choose your suppliers correctly, and they are very adamant that they have a quality product, and that they're going to maintain the quality of their product through all channels of distribution, then they will be on top of the prices at all distribution points, which gives you a fair game.
Yeah. So, and then you can just win by service.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks a lot.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. So what do you all do? If you don't mind me asking, I know Bill.
I'm in software.